Good evening, all. How we doing? Welcome to yet another rock and roll, exciting, edge of your seat stream. I actually make that sound exciting, don't I? But I know it's the most boring thing in the world because nobody ever watches me. Um, right, where are we? Okay. I owe an apology, right? Now, a friend of mine, Neil, Scottish Neil, you know who you are, Neil, pointed out that my logo, you can see my logo there, this is one of my logos, was the wrong way round. And what he said is I should get my shirts redone with the logo the right way round. No, 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 I'm not going to get my shirts redone. That's not happening. The reason the logo was the wrong way round is because some dickhead, and I'm not mentioning anybody's names, right? I'm not going to point the finger and I'm not going to mention anybody's name, right? Some dickhead forgot to flip the image on the camera. I flipped it now, so this is actually the right way round. But I didn't flip it before, which was a bit daft of me, wasn't it? Eh? I mean, I do some daft things, but that was one of the daftest. Forgetting to flip the image, which is something that something I don't normally do. We're going to do the papers in a minute. And you can probably guess already what the main headline is, but let's go into. I've got a whole lot of things to talk about tonight, but I'm not actually going to talk about them. I'm just gonna pretend none of you are there. I've not got my figures switched on, so I've got no idea who's watching. I really don't care. So I've got none of my figures switched on. The only thing I've got switched on is the chat, in case anybody should be mad enough to drop by. And speaking of mad enough to drop by, hi Higgins. How you doing? Thanks for dropping by. It's nice to see you. So hello, mate. Yeah. I know nothing about you, Higgins. Are you a streamer? Just out of curiosity. Um, I Yeah, I'm good. Well, yeah, yeah. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Oh no, I'll tell you about it now. I start chemotherapy on Monday, so apparently I'm not good. I'm good from the outside, but on the inside I'm a bit shit if I'm honest. But I'm going to come to that later on the stream. I'm more interested in you, Higgins. Are you a streamer? Do you stream? Or are you? Oh yeah, yeah. It's all right. Shit happens. I'm used to it. I've been through chemo before. Um, do you stream? That is my question to you. Do you stream? Yeah. What do you stream? Are you a chat streamer or are you a game streamer? Just out of curiosity. I've got to be honest and say that I don't watch a lot of games. I'm really not interested in games. They don't interest me. And I'm afraid I've been looking at chat streamers, and I've got to admit I'm really really disappointed with chat streamers. Um, because they're either showing off their cleavage, all right, they're either showing off their cleavage or their camel toe, right? Um, or they're talking radicals. I mean, one guy the other day I swear I dropped into a meeting of the Ku Klux Klan. I really did. I mean, I was watching him. I thought, you're a serious, you're so right wing. You might be on another planet. And there's other people that rebroadcast television programs. And I think that's a television program. There's somebody rebroadcasting Gordon Ramsay's television program. Um, and one I come across was reacting to YouTube videos. They were just posting YouTube video after YouTube video and laughing at it, and that was the whole stream. And I thought, this is not what I do. I'm sorry. I know what Call of Duty is. I know it's a war game, Higgins. I know COD is a war game. And I know Minecraft is a sort of war game. I mean, it's a gathering game, really, but they don't interest me. So I might pop by. But I enjoy a bit of interaction. A nice bit of chat, like I'm doing tonight. Um. Anyway, yes. You distracted me. Um. Yeah, look. Let me do the papers bit because obviously, are you in the UK, Higgins? Just out of curiosity. Just while you're here. Are you in the UK? I've turned my delay off, so it should be quicker for me to talk to people. because I trust myself not to make a fuck up or say fuck on the air that much. You're in the UK, yeah, so you'll know what the headline, you know what the main headline is today, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that a lot. So let me just go over to the papers. So let's just slip over to the papers. Obviously, the one thing in the papers today, the headline in all the papers, you know what it's going to be. The Times, multiple fatalities after Plymouth mass shooting. The subheadline on the Times is Paris sent to rescue Britons in Afghanistan. We're finally getting the fuck out of Afghanistan. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why we got involved in there in the first place. All right, we tried 150 years ago, the Khyber Pass. 150 years ago, the British tried to invade Afghanistan. It was a dismal failure. And then loads of other people tried to invade Afghanistan. It was a dismal failure. The Russians tried to invade Afghanistan. It was a dismal failure. The Americans tried to invade Afghanistan, and it was another dismal failure. All right. I mean, I have no idea what we were doing over there in the first place. I have no idea at all. But apparently, we're getting out of it, which is a good thing, because we're not the world's policemen. We need to stop being the world's policemen. All right. I mean, yeah, once upon a time we did rule the world, but that was like 250 years ago. But we're now this tiny little island nation, all right? Okay, we've got two aircraft carriers. What, 2 aircraft carriers? I mean, you know, America probably produced 2 a week. We've got 2 aircraft carriers and about 35 planes. We're not exactly, yeah, we've got a few nukes, but I mean, we're not exactly a major world power, are we? I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. If the Russians wanted to kick our ass, fuck all we could do to stop them. So, or even if the Americans wanted to kick our asses, fuck all we could do to stop them. I strongly suspect if the people from Ceuta and Melilla wanted to kick our arse, it was fuck all we could do to stop them. Ceuta and Melilla is a little enclave of Spain on... Spain, the hypocrites, right? They go on about Gibraltar, right? The piece of British land on the end of Spain, right? But just less than 30 miles from Gibraltar, right, in Morocco, okay? Spain is doing exactly the same. They've got 2 pieces of land, one called Melilla and one called Ceuta. And they're actually 2 pieces of land in Morocco that Spain own and they don't want to get out of. But meanwhile, they get the world going on about how Britain's got part of Spain in Gibraltar. So there's a lot of hypocrisy from Spain there. So don't believe anything about the Spanish. They're just as bad. Anyway, that was the Times. Multiple fatalities in Plymouth mass shooting. The Mirror, 6 are shot dead in bloodbath. And the death of Eunice Stubbs. Now, if you're my age, you'll know who Eunice Stubbs is. If you're not my age, don't worry about it. You'll never see that. We live in the politically correct 21st century, and you'll never see the likes of Till Death Us Do Part on television again because it is just so politically incorrect. So if you're my age, you'll know who Eunice Stubbs is. Daily Mail, 6 shot dead in Plymouth gun horror. I'm going to talk about this after I've done the papers. Subheadline, how can Andrew stay silent now? The Royals, they're just the Royals. You know, why have we even got them? The Daily Telegraph, again, the Plymouth gun attack. The Guardian, it doesn't mention the Plymouth gun attack at all. It doesn't mention it at all. But this is an early edition of the Guardian that I'm looking at. It may have changed since then, but it doesn't mention it. It does go on about the Kabul evacuation. Same with the Metro. Again, that's an early edition of the Metro. I haven't looked at them in the last few hours, so they may have changed. The Financial Times is talking about the pullout from Afghanistan. And goes on about Britain faces biggest test for living with COVID this weekend. 1.7 million people are due to join crowds at football, cricket, festivals, music gigs. Well, I'm not. I'm going to start chemo, which means I've got to go into shielding again. I just come out of shielding. I just spent a year and a half shielding, and now I've got to go into shielding again and keep away from people. It's just shit happens. Daily Star, for your pies only. British spy Dave was a short, fat, flabby guy. This spy they caught in Russia, this British spy they caught in Russia, right? Was a short, fat, bald guy like me. Not exactly 007 material, so they've called it for your pies only. That's a Daily Star. Later editions go on about the Plymouth shooting. And they've done another pun on his head, like, you know, spy who loved me. And in this case, they've got the spy who loved tea. Yeah, right, okay. let's change that back to my main thing. Right, let's have a cup of tea in my mug. Right, this Plymouth shooting, what a tragedy, eh? What an absolute tragedy. As the story's been developing today, I've been thinking about it a lot. As the story's been developing today, I've realised that in this country we are lucky. We are lucky that we have the gun laws that we do have. We have some of the world's strictest gun laws. We don't have the world's strictest gun laws. There are some countries where private guns or private citizens are not allowed to own guns at all. But we have some of the strictest gun laws in this country, and thank God we do. And yes, I've seen people demanding to know why this guy was allowed to have guns, but I'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, we have some very strict gun laws in this country. He killed 6 people in 6 minutes. He did it with a pump action shotgun. If he'd have had an automatic rifle or an automatic shotgun, which you're not allowed to have in this country, he could have killed 50 or more, all right, in that same 6 minutes. So that's why we have the gun control that we have. And I'll talk about our gun laws now because I know a bit about them, because I used to have a firearms certificate, but I've let it lapse. There's two kinds of gun ownership in this country you can have. You can have a shotgun certificate or a firearms certificate. A shotgun certificate is exactly for what it says, but you're only allowed to have. Yes, it started, Paul. It started. The reason you can't see anything on your Kindle, right? The reason you can't see my stream on your Kindle is because you've got Pornhub on. If you turn Pornhub off, you should be able to see me. All right. Anyway, the two types of shotguns you're allowed to own is standard, double barrel or single barrel manual load shotgun, or pump action shotguns, which you pump the shot up from the chamber. Can't own automatic shotguns. Firearms, you can generally own. A firearm is a black powder weapon. It uses a percussion cartridge and a bullet, and it's generally what's known as rim fire. Guns fire with a pin in the centre of the shell, but rimfire rifles fire on the rim. And it's only certain calibers you're allowed to own, and you're not allowed to own automatic or semi-automatic weapons at all. So you can't own a Kalashnikov, you can't own a Sterling machine gun, and we can't own handguns. We're not allowed to own pistols or revolvers except for air weapons. We can own air weapons in England. Scotland's got different laws. In England, you can own air weapons, but the pistols must only be a maximum of 6 pound-foot muzzle velocity. Rifles a maximum of 12 foot-pound muzzle velocity, or 16 kilojoules. You can have more powerful air weapons, but to own anything above those limits, you need a firearms certificate, which is what I had, because I had some 30 kilojoules rifles. And believe me, a 30 kilojoule rifle will kill you just as well as a Colt 44 will from 50 meters. That they are deadly. I mean, a 30 kilojoule air rifle, is a very powerful weapon. It's very capable of killing people, but they're only single shot, so you haven't got the potential with any of the weapons you're allowed to legally own in this country. Oh, there is an exception. You may not know this, but in Northern Ireland, you're allowed to own a handgun. But you're only allowed to own a handgun, right, as a private citizen, if you can prove a need for a handgun. And self-defence is the need, but that's an exceptional to Northern Ireland. If you understand anything about Northern Ireland, you'll know why they're allowed to own handguns out there. But we're not. In England, the mainland, in Great Britain, the island of Great Britain. Great Britain is an island. You're not allowed to own handguns of any sort. And when you own a shotgun or a firearms certificate weapon, you have to show a need for them. Now, the general need for shotguns is vermin control or sport. I had a firearms certificate rifle because I took part in sport shooting. And I quite enjoyed it. But when I became ill, I gave that up. So there was no point in me having a firearms certificate if I'm not going to have a rifle. So I got rid of it. I've since gone back to get rifles. And I've got some air weapons, but I've got legal under the limit. I've got 3 rifles and 2 pistols, which are all under the limit. And I just plink in my back garden. That's just fun shooting. I mean, I don't even shoot animals. I mean, I don't even, I don't even. Paul has just asked. I'm curious. There used to be some really powerful catapults. What was the muzzle velocity of them? Catapults don't have muzzles. I don't know. I don't know. You can still get catapults. Used to, when I was a kid, you used to have one called a black cat. That was a massive catapult. Boom. Yeah, you can kill somebody with a catapult. But again, our laws are designed. It all goes back to that. There's been two major incidents in the past that have resulted in the firearm laws that we've got today. The first one was in 1986. A guy called Michael Ryan in a place down in the West Country called Dunblane went on a rampage and killed, I think, 16 people with an automatic weapon, a Kalashnikov automatic weapon. And because of that, our gun laws changed almost instantly overnight, and all automatic weapons were banned. But you could still own handguns, automatic handguns. But you couldn't own automatic or assault rifles. So they were all banned. And then we come to 1996. I'm going on memory, so I could Google, but I'd rather talk than Google. We come to Dunblane. Is it Thomas More? Was that not his name? Dunblane? Thomas More. Charges into a school with two automatic handguns and a revolver and kills something like 14 children. Again, instantly, overnight, handguns were banned. Handguns of every sort were banned, in fact. It's an irony that there's an Olympic handgun event that we can't legally train for in this country. If we did enter a team, they'd have to go to another country to train for it, because you cannot have a handgun in this country of any sort. That they're not allowed. A lot of my American friends say, well, what about self-defense? Why can't you have a weapon for self-defense? Well, the reason we don't have, the reason self-defense, Northern Ireland is the exception, right? If you understand anything about Northern Ireland, you'll know why self-defense is a legitimate reason. But on the mainland, on the island of Great Britain, there's no legitimate reason for self-defense. I mean, there aren't that many home invasions that involve firearms. It's very, very rare. It's very rare to actually be robbed with a firearm. It is. I mean, apart from what I've seen at the gun clubs that I belong to, over the years, I've never ever seen in the UK. I've never ever seen a pistol. I've never ever seen a handgun. Not once. I've never seen in this country. I've never seen a machine gun. I've never seen an assault rifle. I've never heard of anybody selling or know of anybody that knows where you can get a handgun. I know of people that say they've got a mate that knows somebody, but I mean, that's a bit like saying, well, I know something about a crime because my mate's got a mate who's got a mate who's got a police dog that once licked the hand of a criminal. You know, it's nobody I actually know directly has access to weapons, illegal weapons, right? A lot of people say, well, I know somebody. Yeah, well, of course you know, so everybody knows somebody, but not directly. It's always a third person. It's always a mysterious third person. So, so I've never come across it, not once. No. So that's how good our gun laws are. You really can't just walk round the corner and buy a gun. It's not the sort of done thing. It's not something you can do. There are communities, I'm sure there are. I mean, a place in Manchester called Moss Side used to be famous at one point for somewhere to get weapons, but you had to be on the inside. I mean, if I walked into Moss Side and tried to buy a weapon, I'd end up getting shot. It's just those. And coming back to what you say, Paul, it's yeah, oh, Nottingham, yeah, oh yeah, well, yeah. Now I know who to ask, M&J. Yeah, Nottingham used to be the place, but it's not the sort of place that I can walk into as a normal person and try and buy a gun, because I'll end up getting shot. I mean, it's just not the sort of thing. But coming back to catapults, yeah, as far as I'm aware, there's no specific legislation against catapults apart from offensive weapons. If you kill somebody with a catapult, then it's an offensive weapon. But yeah, I mean, catapults are powerful, but the whole idea of the law, the whole idea of the gun laws that we've currently got, which I believe really work for us, all right, they really work for us. And I know the Americans think that we're namby-pamby, and they think that, you know, they can't understand how we aren't demanding the right to bear arms. Well, we aren't demanding the right to bear arms because we don't need to. All right, I mean, we don't need to protect ourselves from armed home invasion. We don't need to protect ourselves from armed car hijackers. And one of my American friends said to me, they said, "Well, what about wild animals? You know, yeah, all right, yeah. Please, Mr. Policeman, can I have a Kalashnikov because there's a pretty pissed off fox in the middle of the road." You know, what wild animals in this country? I think the largest wild animal in this country we've got is it a boar, and even then I think that they were reintroduced. Other than that, you know, I mean, the largest wild animal we have is a fox. I can't think of any other. Maybe beavers or otters. Maybe maybe an otter. Maybe an otter is a wild animal. But I mean, you know, I mean, yeah. Please, Mr. Policeman, can I have a bazooka? Because there's a pretty pissed off otter down the bottom of my garden. You know, you know. We haven't got bears. There are no bears in this country, all right? We don't have grizzly bears. We don't have any animals that big. We don't have leopards. We don't have lions. We don't have tigers. We don't have mountain lions. We don't even have raccoons. And like I say, I'm pretty sure the biggest wild animal we have in this country is a fox. Oh, crane, another bird's the crane. I think they might be a bit bigger, but I mean, I've never really seen a pissed off crane. I think seagulls are more dangerous. Right, what's Paul saying? Catapult's an offensive weapon, but you can be stopped carrying one only if it's used as an offensive weapon. Makes no sense. And of course it makes no sense. Some of the laws in this country don't make any sense at all. But that's why when I think about this Plymouth, and it was an absolute tragedy. I mean, as this story develops, it is going to be a story of a tragedy. But the fact that it's 11 years now since we last had a mass shooting. And when we have mass shootings, they're normally in single digits. They're not like, and I'm sorry, I cite America. I mean, there was one stage last year, a friend of mine, Steve, posted a Facebook status which summed it all up. There's not many stags in central London, Paul. There might be on the outskirts in Richmond Park, but in the parts of central London, you know, there's not that many wild stags charging round in big herds. So, you know, my friend Steve came up with this Facebook status and said it all. He just posted one day, it's Wednesday. Oh, sorry, he said, there's another mass shooting in America. It must be Wednesday. And do you know what? He wasn't wrong. No, it must be Monday. He wasn't wrong. When you look back, there was one stage where they seem to be having a mass shooting every Monday. It was like phenomenal. So we have one every 11 years, and that's too many, of course. That's too many. So let me just have a sip of my coffee. How many of you are still here? I haven't got my figures on. I'm not interested in my figures now. I'm just gonna talk shit because I can talk shit. But yeah, no, Paul, stags are pretty big and not something you want to argue with during rutting season. I don't want to argue with a stag at any time. And how do you argue with a stag? You go up to him and say, that grass is green or that grass is blue, convince me otherwise. No. There's a place just round the corner from me in Sevenoaks called Knoll Park. It's National Trust property and it's got deer and everything on there. And there's warnings all over the place, right? There's warnings all over the place saying, don't feed the deer, don't get close to them, they're dangerous and everything like that. Now, my father, who's dead now, was a police officer. You'd expect him, a police officer, to have a little bit of sense, wouldn't you? We went to Knoll Park one day, and what happens? My dad gets butted by a deer because he ignored all of the safety notices. And all me and my mother could do was laugh at him and point and say, well, that serves you right, doesn't it? So, you know, yeah, you're right. So don't argue with stags. They're big and they're dangerous. I don't really think that protecting yourself from wild stags is a good reason for having a gun. So of course, what's basically happened is this guy in Plymouth. I'm not going to name him because if you want to know who he is, look in the press. This guy in Plymouth was a licensed firearm holder. So of course the cries have gone up. The knee-jerk cries have gone up from the Facebook endowed expert. My God. Ever since this pandemic, haven't people become Facebook endowed experts, eh? Why was he allowed to have a shotgun? Well, he was allowed to have a shotgun because at the time he applied for it, he met all the criteria. Ooh, Why do you let people? Why do you let a murderer have a shotgun? Well, it wasn't a murderer. We don't let murderers have shotguns. All right. In fact, if you've served a prison sentence of 3 years or more in this country, you're banned from life from having a firearm. So we don't actually give them to murderers. At the time he applied for it and was granted for it, we didn't know he was a murderer. The first we knew that he was a murderer was yesterday. So, you know, the police checks are pretty rigid. I mean, they write to your GP, they write to your friends, you know, they ask your doctor, you know, do you think this guy's firing on all four cylinders? And if you've got a history of depression or anything like that, and they talk to your friends and referees, and they ask some pretty searching questions. So if the police in any way suspect that you're going to go out and kill somebody, they will not grant you a license. I mean, the guy had weapons because at the time he applied for it, he qualified. So, you know, running around with this knee jerk, oh, you shouldn't have had a gun. You couldn't give gun to people that kill people. Well, they didn't. You know, knowing how strict it is, knowing how hard it is, and knowing what criteria you have to meet to get a shotgun license, which is easier to get than a firearm certificate, but it's still difficult. Knowing the criteria you have to meet, no, there's nothing unless something emerges in the past of brown envelopes under the table. There's no reason why the police should not have granted him a license. There was nothing to predict that he would do this. I have read that about 2 weeks ago he started putting up doom, gloom, and despondency videos on YouTube, where he was something called incel, the involuntary celibates. And I haven't looked up incel, INCEL. I haven't looked it up. I'm going to look it up later. I'm going to Google it later when I'm really bored. I've got a note to Google it. The involuntary celibates are men that blame women for all their sexual problems, apparently. Well, I blame women for all my sexual problems. I can't get enough of it, and it's their fault. But yeah, it's not. It's down to cancer. Right? Yeah. Coming back to that. Sorry, Higgins, if you're still there. I don't know if you're still there. I've not been feeling too good for the last 2-3 months. I've got cancer. I've got cancer called follicular lymphoma. I've had it since 2013. It's a cancer, it can't be cured. It's never going to go away. All treatment can do is knock it back, send me into remission until the next time it appears. Well, about 6-8 weeks ago, I started to feel a bit shit, and I started to get some symptoms which told me my cancer was coming back. And I had a scan a week and a half ago, and it confirmed it. So I've had radiotherapy once and chemotherapy twice now, and so I'm going into my 3rd chemotherapy session on Monday, which is my 4th cancer therapy session now, to knock this cancer back. Like I said, it's incurable, it is treatable, but one thing about this cancer is that it's the law of diminishing returns. Each time that the cancer surfaces and I have treatment, and this treatment will send me back into remission, the gap is shortened between when I have to have it again. Between my first treatment, which was in 2014, it was 4 years to 2018 before I needed treatment again. 2018, it was 2 years till 2020 till I needed treatment again. 2020, yes, just last year. It's now less than a year since I need treatment again. So each time the gap becomes smaller until there comes a point where there is no gap. When there is no gap, that's it, game over. But you know, I'm good with that. That's how it goes. When I was first I've had in the last 8 years, I've had a friend a year die from cancer, and each time they've been told that they have cancer, and they've been dead within a couple of weeks. Last was a guy called Rick, died within 5 weeks. Prior to that, a guy called Keith died within about 3 months. Prior to that, it was a friend called Richard, died within 11 weeks. Another one called Susan died within a few weeks. Do you know what? I actually think they were the lucky ones. I know that sounds crazy, but I do think they were the lucky ones because I've got to keep going through this cycle of chemotherapy, getting fixed and going downhill and then getting fixed again and then going downhill. And I can't, it, anyone that's been through chemotherapy will know, right? And I mean, there are people out there, there are nutters out there, right? Complete nutters that have got Munchausen's and or whatever syndrome it is. I think it's Munchausen's, right? That actually pretend to have cancer, and they are so convincing at it, right? That they actually get given chemotherapy. I've been in chemotherapy twice, all right? They have no idea, unless you've actually been through chemotherapy, you have absolutely no idea at all what it does to you, right? If I think I'm feeling shit now, you have got no idea how shit I'm going to be feeling, all right? Oh, right. With chemotherapy, I'm going to get two drugs, one called rituximab, and one, I'm going to actually get more than two drugs. I'm going to get rituximab, right, which is a monoclonal antibody. The main chemo drug they're giving me is not a cytotoxic drug. It's something different. It's called lenalidomide or Revlimid, which is its brand name. It's an analogue of thalidomide. Thalidomide, yes, that thalidomide, 1960s, deformed people, yeah. Turns out that drug is actually good at dealing with cancer. Well, they've made an analogue of it. What that means is they've refined a certain part of the thalidomide which targets the cancer and made it better. And it's lenalidomide, but it's basically, I mean, the warnings are you can't give this to pregnant women, for obvious reasons. But it is the same drug, and it's an irony that it's a good drug. It's a bad drug that's come good. But that's my main chemotherapy drug, and the way it works is funny enough, right? The way it works is it interrupts. It's the same mechanism that causes deformities in fetuses. It interrupts the blood flow to the cancer cells, meaning that they can't reach maturity and reproduce as fast as they do. You're not actually killing the cancer cell, you're killing its way of feeding. So it's complicated. Anyway, that's the main drug, and I start that on Monday. And it's going to make me feel shit, right? Because it doesn't just act on cancer cells, all right? It acts on lots of other things, and it's just not a very nice drug. On top of that, it's gonna kill my immunity, so I really do have to keep away from people completely. And I've got to be so aware of COVID. I already went through chemotherapy on the first COVID thing. And I'm going to have to go through it again. It is going to make me feel like shit. It's going to make me feel like it's going to interrupt my sleep. It's going to interrupt my waking. It's going to cause me all sorts of problems. And as well as lenalidomide, they're going to give me a steroid with it, which makes it work even faster. Now, I mean, I've already put on 25 kilos in the last 2 years, and when I'm on steroids, I'm going to be eating like a horse. Just and my weight is going to shoot up even more. So the steroids are just going to make it worse. I mean, and not only that, the steroids G you up, whereas lenalidomide sends you down. So I'm going to be wanting to dance on the ceiling and fall fast asleep at the same time. But that's not the worst bit about lenalidomide, right? Here's the worst bit, okay? And here's the bit that people on chemotherapy don't tell you, right? This is the bit that you don't find out until you're actually there, right? What happens? What happens to those cancer cells when they can't feed? Where do you think they go? Anyone guess? Anyone? You shit them out. Yep, you shit them out. And the smell is like, yes, it is actually. If you've ever smelt a rotting corpse, all right, if you've ever smelt a rotting corpse, that's the smell, right? Because that's exactly what it is. It is dead animal. It is, and you have to shit it out, and it's I cannot describe how evil that smell is. It is so evil, right, that I cannot stand it, right? When I want to get out of there as quickly as possible, and I shut the door and I leave the extractor fan on for hours, and I warn everybody, don't go in that toilet, it's nuclear. And they don't listen to me. They go in there, and the first thing you hear them say is, "Oh my God, it's just. Unless you're on public transport, of course, and then you fart, and that's good. Everybody on the bus is wondering, if their pet dog has just died, and it's just but it is the worst smell imaginable, and I don't warn you about that. Oh. Anyway, that's enough of that. Right, I've come across a few idiots today. All right, on Facebook. Okay. In one now, if you've local community groups on Facebook, local community groups. Oh, you gotta love them. You have to love local community groups on Facebook, right? You gotta love them. My doorbell camera caught your dog shitting on my drive. Can you come and pick it up? They don't name you. They don't name you. Who let off fireworks at 6 o'clock last night? Oh, bloody council haven't emptied the bins. Right? There's nothing like, this is community, right? Well, I come across one in a group, all right, and it said, I've got a pigeon here that's been injured by a bird of prey. What do I do with it? And I had to respond, and a couple of other people said, well, you probably deprived a peregrine falcon of its dinner. And I'm thinking, the bird, and I posted and said this, a bird of prey is called a bird of prey for a very good fucking reason, right? Yes, this is what birds of prey do. Don't come on Facebook bleating that an animal, a bird of prey, has preyed on another animal. That's what they do. That's what bird of prey do. That's why they're called birds of prey. It's not complicated. E-bikes, right? E-bikes, okay? E-bikks. And I come across some in some of the Facebook e-bikes, right? There was one guy, right? He posted a post today, right? He said, I went on an e-bike today. He said, I was very impressed. It is the most exhilarating experience I've had as an adult. My most exhilarating experience is having three in a bed sex with a pair of raving nymphomaniac lesbians, but to each their own. If that's his idea of adult fun, that's fine. I mean, I've got a completely different idea of adult fun to him. So, and another one was telling me, right, that with e-bikes, right, the law is very simple, right? On e-bikes in this country, the e-bike is only allowed to assist you pedalling up to 15 point. Hi, Ray Knees. Ray Knees. Hi, hello. How are you? In this country, right, an e-bike is only allowed to help you pedal assist up to 15.5 miles an hour. After that, the pedal cuts out and the motor cuts out, and you're pedaling on your own. So a lot of people think that e-bikes can only go. They say, "Oh, I've got an e-bike, right?" And when I say that I cruise, I'm just talking about e-bikes at the moment, Ray. What's up with you? How you doing? What's up with you? And I say I quite often cruise at 19 miles. Am I the most articulate person? I don't know. I do have a world record for being the world's fastest talker, if that's what you mean. But that's something that I can no longer do anymore. Paul, can't we make birds of prey vegetarian and stop those pesky swallows? Exactly. Make birds. Did you catch my stream on Wednesday when I spoke about vegetarians and how if vegetarians got their way, the entire planet would be dead within one generation? Every life on Earth would be dead in one. No, Ray, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I cannot teach you to articulate. There's no possible way. It's what you're asking me is you've just asked me the equivalent of me saying to Usain Bolt, can you teach me to break the 100-meter world record? It's no, I can't. It's not something that I can do, and it's not articulate. I can correct your grammar. It's can you teach me to speak English? It's not can you teach me to articulate. Not been well this week. Not done a bit. Anyway, no. So all right, okay. Well, I'll tell you. I'll come back to that. Let me just finish this story about e-bikes. So anyway, with e-bikes, right? So these tips on what? On talking fast. Yeah, you just yes. All right, I'll give you a tip on talking fast. Breath control. The more words per breath you can get out, the faster you will be. Okay? The second tip is, when you're reading from a text, everybody does this, they've got an inner voice, right? They've got an inner voice. You read it from a bit of text, you look at it with your eyes, it goes in through your eyes, and this little inner voice in your head tells you what it is you're saying. You can actually hear this little inner voice in your head telling you what you're saying. Switch that off. So, breath control, the more words per breath that you can get out, that's tip number one. Number two, switch your internal voice off, which basically means the information coming in through your eyes, straight out through your mouth. Don't think about it. If you have to think about it, if you have to vocalise it internally, you're going to be slow. All right? When I broke the world record, I could not recall a single word I said. The reason I could not recall a single word I said is because I wasn't thinking about it. And that's how you do it. You do it like that. So you've got to learn how to switch that little voice off. I can't tell you exactly how you do it. What I can tell you is, in 2012, let me have some of my drink. In 2012, I went out to South Africa, Cape Town. I went out to make a television program called Stanley Superhumans. I'm in series 2, episode 3. If you go onto Netflix in the US, you can get it. You can't get it in this country. No, accent doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter because the previous world record holder was an American, so no, accents don't matter. I went out to South Africa, Cape Town, to take part in this program, Superhumans. And what they did is they wanted to establish exactly what it was about me that gave me this special skill. So they put me in a CT scanner, and they put me in a CT scanner twice. Once when I was being completely quiet, and the second time when I was talking at world record speed, and they compared the two scans. And it turns out the reason I can do it is because I use a part, when I'm talking fast, I use a part of my brain that I don't normally use. So there you go. So that's why I can't teach you to do it. You've either got it or you haven't. It's like you're either born to be a sprinter or you're not. So you can't teach somebody with short fat legs to be the world's fastest sprinter when they need to have long thin legs. So no, I can't teach you, and no, accent doesn't matter. But there's your tips, right? Paul, yeah, vegetarians. Anyway, yeah, sorry, e-bikes, right? So yeah, e-bikes. So apparently there's this urban legend that any e-bike that does more than 15 miles an hour means it's illegal. It's not. It's not. E-bikes can go any speed you like. You're just not allowed to. You're not allowed to use electrical assistance over 15.5 miles an hour. So there's just so many people that are just under this misinterpretation. Now, some of the earlier e-bikes, is some of the earlier e-bikes, right? There's this. If once the motor cuts out, there's a lot of people that say they're really hard to pedal. They're not actually. They're very easy to pedal once the motor comes out because you're already going at 15 miles an hour. So you've already established. I will answer your question in a minute, Ray. You've got over the resistance. You're rolling resistance. You need to start. So you've already got over that. So it's quite easy to maintain that speed. But they come into these groups, right, and they say, "Oh yeah, I've got this bike that I spent £5,000 for. I really like it. Apart from the fact that once the pedals cut, once the motor comes out, it's like dragging an anchor." And I look at these people and think, so you're telling me and boasting on how you spent £5,000 on a bike, and your selling point to get me to buy the same bike is once you stop pedaling, it feels like you're dragging an anchor, right? And I say, what's the name and model of your bike? Because I'm never going to buy that bike again. Hi, Gavarden B. I'm fine. So nice to meet you in YouTube as well. Ray, is it worth to study computer science in university? Yeah. It's absolutely worth it to study computer science in university. I'm not quite sure what that has to do with articulation, but it's always worth to study computer science because computers are the future. Anyway, look, don't distract me for a minute. I'm going to tell my mate Paul about vegetarians, right? Okay. This is the theory of vegetarians, Paul, right? If the whole planet turned vegetarian tomorrow, we would all be dead within a single generation. The reason we would all be dead within a single generation is quite simple, because currently we kill 37 million animals per day to feed the population of the planet. If we all turn vegetarian, there will be no need to kill those 37 million animals per day. So we'd have to feed them. And what do we feed them? Food that we are now eating because we're not eating meat. And there's only so much food to go around. So what do? Well, you've got to kill the animals in that case. You've got to carry on killing them at 37 million. Now, all right, so that's fine. There's no change there. You think 37 million animals being killed a day, there's no change there. Yes, there is. There's a massive change, right? Because one thing the human body is very good at is turning flesh into organic compost. All right? It is very good at doing that. You eat beef today, and tomorrow you're shitting out compost, right? It is very fast indeed. Nature cannot turn a dead animal into compost that quickly. So you've got these 37 million animals you're killing a day. Instead of eating them, right? You're killing them, and you've got to do something with them. Well, what do you do with them? Do you burn them? I remember when we had the bovine, that mad cow disease. I remember the smoke pools from when we were burning just a few hundred cows, and that caused massive pollution. And the theory is that if you burn 37 million animals per day, right, you're going to send the planet into a new ice age because you're going to block out the sunlight. So you can't burn them. So what do? Do you bury them? No, you can't bury them, because if you bury 37 million animals per day, eventually the corpses from the animals will get into the water table, and that will poison the food that we're eating, and that will kill us. So it actually works out in a crazy sort of way that only about 10% of the planet can turn vegetarian, because if any more than 10% of the planet turn vegetarian, it fucks up the ecosystem. There you go. If you wanted proof that vegetarians are nuts, there it is. Right. I'm thinking of going to UK for my higher education, but the cost is really high. Is it worth it? I don't know, because I'm in the UK and I didn't pay for my education. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. Is it worth the education? Yes, it is. Yes. The education system here is absolutely fantastic, but I didn't pay for it. So is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know what you're going to pay for it, but yeah, I mean, is it worth getting educated? Yeah, absolutely. The education system in this country is phenomenal, but we don't pay for it. So that's one of the things. When I went to university, I went to university not I actually went to the university in London, Elephant and Castle, right, which was 6 miles from my house. Right, I didn't even have to worry about student accommodation. So, I just go home every night. I was lucky, but that's the way it goes. So no, and you don't actually pay for the education as such. But I don't know what it's like. I've never been a foreigner in this country, so I honestly don't know. I don't know what it's like. But as for a place to get educated, yeah, I think it's one of the best places in the world. I think we really do have an incredible education system. I mean, yeah. So yeah, it is worth it. It is worth it. So there you go, Paul. That's vegetarians, all right, mate. That's why you can't turn vegetarian. That's why you can't turn vegetarian. Oh, Facebook. Hey, hang on, Paul. What's been up, mate? What's oh, you do pay for university around 9K a year. Well, okay, I didn't pay. So Paul, you say you've not been very well. What's been up? Mine when I went to university was in the 1970s. So things have changed a bit since the 1970s. Big change since 1977. 1977, what was that? It was 44 years ago, so yeah. So obviously things have changed. All right, yeah, $9,000, yeah. I think while Paul's telling me what's wrong with him, but yeah, that's going to be your big stumbling block, Ray. Is the living costs, especially if you go to a university in a big city like London or Birmingham or anything else. Flu symptoms and managed to lose my voice. Oh, I bet Kim was glad. Oh, I bet Kim was over the moon. I bet Kim was well impressed. I bet she revelled in it. I know when I lost my voice, my missus loved it. She absolutely loved it. Oh, it was the best. It was the best six. I lost it for nearly 6 months. It was the best 6 months of her life. I know it was. Oh, you haven't got. You haven't got. You haven't got. You haven't got. You haven't got COVID, have you? You've had the COVID test, haven't you, Paul? Um, yeah, Ray. So there you go. Look, mate. I don't know if you're still there. I'm not looking at my figures. Oh. Do you not mind? Do you not mind, mug? Look, see, if Neil's watching, right, I even had these printed the wrong way. I even had these printed in mirror image now, so they show up on the screen. I forgot to flip my video one time. All right, I forgot to flip the video. I know it's very easy. Look, I don't have to have anything. In case you're watching, Neil, look, watch. I don't. If you can see, look, there's my logo on that side, right? If I flip my video, hey, there we go. Look, it's on the other side. Hey. See, simple flick of a switch, and I forgot to do it. And I flip it back, and there we go. It's back again. That's all it was. Just a simple flip of the switch I forgot to do. I don't need to get anything printed back to front. I've got a funny feeling he was joking when he says that, but I think some people, I'm not too sure. I think they're not worldly aware. Yes, I do watch Netflix, Ray. I watch Netflix quite a lot. What did I watch? I watched a program called Blitz last night. A film called Blitz, starring Jason Statham. Got to be his worst film yet, but there we go. Any university town, it's £100 a week for a room in a shared house. And right, okay, so you're pretty confident it's not COVID then, Paul? I used to do these streams at 10:30 at night. But a lot of people complained that it was too late for them because obviously they went to bed. I mean, a lot of my friends are like, I think their bedtime's about 8 o'clock in the evening. You know, they're a bit immature, so they're not allowed up after 8 o'clock because they haven't got adult supervision. Paul Cooper being one of them. So they said, "Can I share? Can you share your Netflix with me, please?" Yes, certainly. If you hang on, what I'll do is not only will I share my Netflix with you, but I'll PM you my credit card number and my CVV code. Is that okay? Or would you like my bank account as well? Just out of curiosity. Yeah. Would that help? So I'll PM you my credit card number, expiry date, and CVV. Okay. Oh, I fucking can't share my Netflix with you. Get your own, you scrounging git. For fuck's sake. Oh. Right, sorry, Paul. So I take it the two home tests you had were negative. Were negative. And this one was you waiting for the test. How long did it take then? How long did it take? Oh. No. Right. No. 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 I don't know how many times I can say no. But right, the answer is no. No, 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 no. I'll tell you what, you're obviously watching this on a here we go, look, I've got a plan, right? You're obviously watching Netflix, which means you're watching it on a computer or a mobile device. Why don't you sell your mobile device or your computer? There you go. That'll help you raise funds. Do the world a favour. I'm sorry, Paul. Somebody left you unsupervised. Who would do 11 hours? You were left on your own for 11 hours. I find that to be unbelievable. I find that to be absolutely unbelievable. 11 hours. You were left unsupervised. Oh. It's a sympathy. Oh, right, yes. It's a sympathy illness, isn't it? I know what you're doing. You're thinking, well, you're going to leave me alone for 11 hours. I'll pretend I've got flu. Oh, I know your game. I hope it's nothing serious, Paul. I really do. I do. I do hope it's nothing serious. Oh, we'll not be able to fly then. Oh, I am so not looking forward to Monday, mate. Oh, I've got to take those fucking tablets. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Oh. Oh. Hang on. I just got to get my credit card out. Oh, all right. All right. I'll send that to you in a minute, along with my Netflix login details, my bank account details, and the key to my chastity belt. All right. I think that's about everything that I need to send you. Oh, I'll send you a photocopy of my passport and my driving license as well, seeing as I'm in such a good mood. Right. Look at the time. That's it. I've run out of things to say. No, I know what I was going to say. I was going to say Facebook, right? Facebook. It sort of slid under the radar with this with the Plymouth shooting. It sort of slipped under the radar with Plymouth that Facebook have been on a mission and they have banned thousands of accounts of anti-vaxxers, but just not ordinary anti-vaxxers. These all accounts are Russian, apparently, right? And they apparently originated, these anti-vaxxers have apparently gone round. I just turned my YouTube viewing figures on. Surprise, surprise. Since I said no, I'm not giving you my Netflix, my YouTube figures have dropped. I'm gutted about that. The Facebook have disabled thousands of accounts. What is another description of sweet fathers? Sour mothers. No, I couldn't quite grasp that one. Do you want to? This is. Oh no, I don't, Paul. I'm sorry. I've got no idea what sweet fathers is. Oh, sugar daddy. Oh, you can't say sugar daddies on Facebook anymore. Oh, right. Okay. This raises a question, right? This raises a question. Okay. How did you come to be involved in a conversation about sugar daddies? There's something there you need to be telling me. Don't be shy. Go on. How did you? What is it you're not telling me here? There's more to this story than you're telling me. How did you become involved in a conversation about sugar daddies? I mean, you know, whose sugar daddy are you? They must be hard up. Oh dear. Anyway, look, these Facebook accounts have all been closed, right? They're all accounts of anti-vaxxers, right? And all these accounts were targeting the AstraZeneca vaccine, right? And they were spreading misinformation about how bad it is. Turns out that they're all coming out of this Facebook account farm in Russia, which is in the same building as a lab that produced the Russian Sputnik virus. So, no connection there that I can see. Right, as soon as Paul is not going to tell us how come he's involved in a conversation about sugar daddies, I am going to call this a night and I'm going to ask him on Facebook, which is probably the best thing to do. So I'm going to call this a night because I'm getting desperate for a pee. So I really don't know how these streamers can stream without peeing. I really don't know. That's it. All I'm saying is that a younger female friend was supposed to be starting a new job, and I asked her which site her webcam was on. OnlyFans, Paul. OnlyFans. That's where they're all going. They're all going to OnlyFans. All right, where you pay 25 quid a time to see their cleavage, whereas before they would show you their cleavage for free. So I don't know. They're all going to OnlyFans. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's me done for the night, Paul. I will see all you loyal viewers, all of you, next Monday at 7:30. So I'm off. And Paul, yeah, I told you, OnlyFans. Seriously, that's what they're all going. OnlyFans, right? OnlyFans. Do you know? I really enjoy being male, but sometimes I wish that I'd been born female, because if you've got it, flaunt it. And with places like that now, I mean, have you actually looked on Twitch, Paul? Have you looked on Twitch, right, in the just chatting section? Have you looked at the hot tub streamers? Do you understand what I'm talking about when I talk about hot tub streamers, right? I mean, yeah. If you're willing to flaunt yourself, and I'm not saying there's anything bad in this at all, right? I have no problem with women doing this, right? If women want to flog their bodies, all right, they're making a fortune, these women on streaming, right, showing their cleavage and their camel toes in bikinis, right? And it's the same as OnlyFans, right? They're making a fortune on flogging their bodies. And I sort of think, I look at me, right, and I think, well, if I go on OnlyFans, who wants to see a short, fat, ugly bloke naked, right? Yes, Ray. I will share my Netflix with you. You need a secret password though. So what you need to do is can you identify a police officer in your country? And what you need to do is if you find a police officer, right, you need to give him the secret sign, okay, and he will share his Netflix with you. So go up to any police officer you can find and give him the secret sign. It's a very easy one. There you go. Just give him that sign. Right, Paul, I'll see you later. Bye, people.